but positives, some faculty members felt the students were able to adjust to a full schedule, having a full week. Some faculty members responded it was good to get a full week of 5 days because the weeks after that were shortened. And in terms of covering materials, specifically as it relates to the upper grade levels, some faculty members reported that they were able to hit the ground running and cover more material during the course of that week. In terms of some challenges that were brought forth, the long week was, and I referenced this previously, the long week was a little bit more difficult for the younger students. Students seemed tired at the end of each day and at the end of the week, although I should say that faculty members that responded in this fashion, many indicated that the heat in the buildings could have been a factor as well, but they wanted to note that. And the last one that resonated with me a little bit was that there was a tough transition for the students. While the faculty had 2 days to get acclimated a little bit into the routine, the students went from a full week's vacation to a full week's school after having several weeks of vacation previous. So just a couple of the highlights of that particular survey. So I have actually other pieces of my report that are in some of the report. So I'll wait until that concludes my report, Madam Chair. Certainly happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Dr. Mercurio. Does anybody have any questions for the superintendent tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to school committee member concerns. Are there any school committee member concerns you wish to express tonight? I can't see people as easily here somehow as I can upstairs in the library. Just one of those. Is that what it is? Is that because I'm sitting in the center? Okay. Seeing no school committee member concerns, I will go ahead and move on to our action items for this evening. We have a number of appointments that we are looking to make tonight, and if there's no objection, I think I'll take these in groups. We have 3 co-class advisors that we're looking to appoint tonight. The first is, shall I try without? Okay. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. So the first co-class advisor for the class of 2019 at the high school, Krista Harvey. The second co-class advisor for the class of 2019 at the high school, Michael Florio. And the third co-class advisor for the class of 2017 at the high school, Anne Marie Flaherty.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Winters.
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Sun. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. I'll take the 2 English teachers next, both at the high school, both one-year only appointments, one Allison Breyer and the other Nicole Luckless.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Winters. Seconded by Dr. Gifford. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. And we have 2 assistant coaches. For football at the high school, George Lee Anderson, and for girls soccer at the high school, Jessica Ferris.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Winters.
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Gifford. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The next action item on the agenda is regarding a field trip that the high school is looking to host to Peru in April of 2017. Do we have someone here tonight who's going to speak to that?
Mrs. Munson is here.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Is there anything specific you would like me to talk about? Or
I just wasn't, perhaps you could just tell us a little bit about it. We certainly have the background on it,
Yeah.
but just for the members of the public to say a couple of words about it.
So I did this past year, we did a trip to Europe. We went to Switzerland, Italy, France, and Spain. 46 students, and it was an amazing experience. This year we're going to the Galapagos with 35 students, I believe. So kids are really liking this experience, being able to travel abroad and just see the other cultures. The one thing I found from Europe is teenagers like to shop. They can shop anywhere. So I wanted to really try to bring them somewhere and immerse them in a culture that they would never be able to experience otherwise. And with this project, it's actually a service learning project, so they would have 2 days structure. There's a ceramics teacher in the building, and there is a component in this where we get to go to a ceramics factory and get to make tiles. They get to go to Machu Picchu and have some time traveling. There's also one option, which I would have to, I think, submit a different form, that there's an extension where they can go to 2 different lakes in the area, but I think I'll email and discuss that later, because that would require more time out of school. One question I had for you is, because we go privately, I try to make sure I fill up a bus so we're not paired with other schools, because when you're paired with other schools, you're paired with other teachers are other people's rules, and I want it to be my rules, and my rules are very strict. Kids have no alone time, they're chaperoned the entire time. They don't take off in these places and do free time. They do free time with a chaperone. So we're able to decide our departure date. Would you prefer kids leaving and missing a Friday before vacation or missing a Monday after vacation? Does that matter? I mean, as a teacher, I think the Friday before vacation is more of a dead day than the Monday after vacation. But I didn't know if
Members
that
of the
was,
school committee that want to weigh in, I mean, that would certainly be my sense of it, my experience of it.
yeah. Okay, so I'll make sure that they try, because at first when I was looking at the schedule, it looked like they were trying to have us come back on a Monday. But then I know jet lag, now kids are going to want to stay out Tuesday, so I'd rather come back on a Sunday and have them have a day of recouping. Anything else?
Does anybody have any questions about the trip? We've had this conversation many times about wanting to make sure as many students as possible are able to participate in the trip. And I know with all of the wonderful trips that you've run, you've really made some significant efforts to encourage students to participate in fundraising. And I know that you will continue to do it. So tonight is not an additional request, because I know that we are kindred spirits
Yeah.
on this issue.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to acknowledge that and say how much I appreciate that. I think any time that we can make this kind of an amazing experience possible for as many of our students as possible, and to not let money always be a barrier is a good thing. So I appreciate your efforts and just want to say keep it up.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
I just want to build on what the chair just said. I can tell you, as someone who formerly was responsible for 3 high schools and a current technical center, every once in a while, a faculty member, once in his or her career, 30 years, would step forward and attempt to do this trip. Mrs. Munzer seems to do it on a regular basis, so it's a tribute to your organization, how much you get the word out. To the chair's point, how much fundraising you do to break costs and make it reasonable to the greatest extent that that's possible for students. So I want you to know that I deeply appreciate all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes. Once you get approval here, that's not when your work ends, it's when it begins. So thank you for that.
So my only final question is, do you need any chaperones?
I have Officer Branch on standby. I was like, how good is that? I'll put the school resource officer with me, no trouble.
That's great. Well, with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the trip to Peru. So moved by Mr. Osborne, seconded by Mr. Payne. Any additional discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you
So
very
there's some
much.
very happy kids tomorrow during advisory. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we turn the meeting over to Mr. Osborne, the illustrious chair of our policy committee, for a 4th and possibly final read of our new enrollment policy. So
All right.
take us through the changes since the last time we got together.
He takes a deep breath.
He takes a turn.
Okay, the changes are all highlighted in yellow in the copies that you have received and hopefully have in front of you. If you don't have a hard copy, I have a couple of extras here.
I can print it out.
And so, why don't we just walk through changes. So in section 2.9, as we've been having lots of back and forth, this seems to be the stickiest wicket. I took the language that had been offered up at our last read of the policy to simply reflect the language that is in the program of studies. And so it basically mirrors some of the same language that's in the program of studies in terms of how do you deal with courses that are outside of the program of studies. And so under this formulation, there would be no bump up for honors, and the courses actually would not count towards GPA value either. And we'll see how it goes this first year. And at the end of that section, there's just a request or a directive to the high school staff to come back to the school committee by June and just to report on how things went. And then maybe this way we'll have more sense of the types of classes that students enrolled in, how they performed, and then we'll have a little bit more information and data on which to make a decision moving forward. There's also been some discussion, and Mr. Pedraza raised this at the last meeting, of just having an overall look at our grading policy anyway within the district. And so if we're going to have that, then let's have this as part of that overall grade discussion. And so once we get to the point where we have a new strategic plan, then we can have a discussion about grades writ large as we move forward with trying to implement the strategic plan. So I would just check to make sure that I captured the language the way I thought I had heard the language expressed at our last meeting. And if not, we'll barrel forward.
I went back to the program of studies to see how it tracked, and I see that I think it's a reasonable solution for the coming year. I do agree that we need to look at it at the larger issue, but I'm comfortable that doing something that's consistent with what's already in the program of study for this first year makes a lot of sense, because there's a lot of pieces that we're going to need to be looking at in a year's time. So the fact that we will be looking at this again next June makes me feel comfortable with this language for now.
And the only reason I picked June is if we do have something that comes back from the high school that says, we should make this or that change to the policy, then that gives us July and August to actually have a couple of reads and then have it in by the time the school year starts.
Dr. McCreary, can you remind me when we actually approve the program of study for the next year?
You usually do it in December. My preference this year is, given the number of interconnected pieces, this is one of them. At least we look at it in November. So before I would suggest that we do this first meeting we have in November discussion as opposed to, it's usually the second meeting in December. Remember the last time? I'm proposing that we do it the first meeting in November, so we can have a go at it at least once, maybe twice.
So we will likely be approving the program of study for next year before we've had a chance to move forward with that. So this could potentially not get impacted in the program of study for the following year.
You can still approve it with the qualification that you would go back and revisit based on what you said this evening. If you approve this, that you would approve anything going forward, contingent upon whatever conclusions we have as a result of doing research for this year. You could do that.
Okay?
I think he's reading the language here, and especially consistent with our program study. I think it's really good.
All right, in section 5, we have a couple of additions with section 5.2, subparagraph B. The language that was in there last time was a little bit unclear, and I want to just make sure that what we are focusing on is one factor that would be considered by the high school staff as to whether the student should be eligible is, let's make sure that the kid is attending on a regular basis and doesn't have any sort of behavioral problems that would call into question whether the student is mature enough and ready enough to take this on. And so I just want to clarify that in subpart B. And then we added the parenthetical in C, just to make clear that when we're talking about the student ought to have taken the state required assessments, that we're not talking about, if a kid who didn't take it in the third grade, for example, that somehow not being eligible further down the road. So that's just clarifying. Section 5.4 gets to some concerns that Dr. Gifford had, and so we were trying to help the guidance staff have some sort of standard against which to make a review and evaluation, and a standard that would be done in sort of a consistent and reasonable way. And so I don't know whether that language comports with what you were looking for. I think those are all the big things.
You added the appendix.
We added an appendix.
That's great.
Can I have a comment?
Yes,
Yes.
Mr. Zhang.
In the last meeting, our understanding is if the course, dual enrollment course is part of the program study but not offered by the high school, it will be counted as a GPA, counted as an honors GPA. But it looks like this new clause is, even exclude the course which is on the program study but not offered by the high school. So this is looks like there's a difference.
So I think that I may have added to some confusion last time because I thought that what I had heard was that if it was, maybe it was not when it was in the program of study. I was looking for this to align with the kinds of courses that students take if they have exceeded what's offered, through an online course or something like that, that as long as it was happening within the confines of the school day, that dual enrollment kind of be treated the same way. I think I was under the impression that meant it would count toward GPA, but as I went back to the program of study, I saw that it didn't. And so that's why I was saying, I do think it's a reasonable approach to align the language for the coming year, but I'm looking to see if all of the grading policies be reviewed by the end of next year after we've had a chance to kind of work through the program. So I think that I may have been mistaken, and so I may have said something last time that added to some confusion because I was under that impression.
So I understand where you're coming from, and the way I would interpret this policy is that that's a policy that's already in place. In other words, we have an existing policy which says if there's a course that's listed in the program of study that's not being offered, that a student may take that course outside the building, either online or elsewhere, and will receive credit. That's an existing policy, and so my interpretation would be
Correct.
that
But-
it doesn't fall under the dual and concurrent enrollment
Correct.
courses because it's a pre-existing
Yeah.
policy. So I think you're correct.
Okay.
That's consistent with what.
Does that
Mr.
policy-
So just to clarify, since I was the one that was
Yeah.
confused. So for example, if AP Statistics is in the program of study, but it's not running,
That's right.
they could, through dual enrollment, take an AP Statistics class at a local college, and that would count. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I'm
Yeah.
almost. what
Well,
I'm
the
saying
current
is
policy is if they take.
Hold on just a second. Let me let Dr. Gifford finish, and then we'll come back to you.
that My understanding, so this is a subtlety and a nuance, and maybe you might have to advise the way.
No.
But my
Right now.
understanding is that that is an existing policy in our current program of study. So that what you said can happen, does happen, is already underway. The nuance that I'm suggesting is that situation doesn't fall under the dual and concurrent enrollment policy. It's a different policy about taking courses under the program of study. This is for courses that don't fit into that particular category. That would be my understanding. I don't know if you would agree.
No, I think that, because there's, within the program of study, there's two classifications, and there's one that courses they receive credit, but they don't receive a grade or they don't count towards GPA. And then there's another one where they do receive a grade and they do count towards GPA. And I forget what that line of demarcation is, but there are, even within the program of study, there's two different
Yeah.
sets.
That is, if it's school paid, which is don't have the equity concern, then it's counted as GPA. If it's parent paid, what we
Right.
told is not counting as GPA.
Right.
So, and, you know, for example, AP statistics, right? So the students, if taking the online AP statistics, which is paid by the district, it's counted as a GPA. So, but it looks like here is if they taking take a college level statistics course, the same as AP statistics at URI, which is paid by the state, it's not counting as GPA. Looks like this is what the policy discrepancy is now.
So I guess the question is, which policy would that example fall under? Like, does it fall under, could you pull up, do you have the language there?
Yeah, I think the question's about the equivalent course. May not have exactly the same title, but it's equivalent college level course.
Yeah.
Equivalent to a course that in our program study is not offered.
Right, because you can't take an AP statistics course at URI, CCRI, or RIC, it doesn't exist.
Right, right.
But it's a same level because AP designation is just for the college level course,
Right.
you know, for offered at a high school.
Yeah,
Right,
that's the
that-
whole point of it, because
Yeah.
if you score a certain number or higher, then you
Yeah.
can actually use it as credit.
Correct, correct.
As improving college.
Correct.
Right, absolutely.
Correct,
So
and
I do think that this is the one thing that we're down to in terms of clarification. So it's my hope that we can figure this out
I have mine.
and move forward.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Gifford to the rest of it.
Courses in the program of study which are not currently being offered are addressed, I would say, credit and GPA, or courses in the program of study but not currently being offered are addressed in the program of study and are not covered by this policy. Something like that. That's an inelegant sentence, but not getting it true. In other words,
Yeah.
just to clarify that what Mr. Zhang is clarifying is true, but it's not subject to this policy. It's addressed in the program of study. Do you understand, Dr. Furio?
I'm trying to reference what you said against what's currently in the language of the program of study. That would seem like it would work.
I have a question here. So only the GPA policy we're going to be kind of program study, or there's eligibility issues, the whole policy. So,
Sorry.
I mean, my question is, if the course is in the program study, but not offered, that course will be not under this policy, which means all the eligibility on other part of the policy will that part apply to the courses or what? Because that 2.9 is only about GPA and the credit, but this whole policy about eligibility issues and other issues.
Because you're still talking about a student going off campus to take a college level course. Because right now, the way that this problem is being addressed is through an online solution.
Correct. But I believe the URI offered online course too.
Yeah, I mean, we still, of course, haven't solved the
Yeah.
whole issue of, you know, we don't have an open campus, and so
Yeah.
exactly when are these students
Yeah.
taking these courses, so
Mhm.
it's still an issue.
Yeah.
Um,
I think maybe also check with North Kingstown because North Kingstown's policy we checked and we checked other districts' policy. Like for example, North Kingstown clearly states is the student can take the due enrollment during the school hours or outside the school hours. That was clearly stated in their due enrollment policy.
Say that again. So a student can,
The due enrollment course can be taken during the school hours or outside the school hours. That's on the North Kingstown
the student
district
is doing
website.
what during the course of the day?
For the due enrollment course, which means they can leave the campus to take it,
So they
or,
have an open campus.
yeah.
Right.
So that,
We're
what
not-
I'm saying.
We're not
that's-
addressing that
Yeah.
within this policy.
Totally
yeah.
different.
I'm just giving a suggestion.
That's a
Yeah,
bigger,
correct. Yeah.
that's a bigger.
For
bigger
those,
discussion.
for those districts that already have open campuses, it's
Yeah.
a much easier issue. It would be
Okay.
a bigger conversation
Yeah.
to decide if that was the right approach for this community. So I agree, we probably can't address that this year, but I sure would like for us to resolve this. And I wonder if there isn't a way that instead of saying that this policy doesn't apply, include an exception to this for those courses that are currently listed in the program of study but not running with respect to GPA. Just make that as a simple exception to, so that way everything else applies.
But also probably also mention equivalent course, because college level course don't have a title probably piece that is.
Yeah, an equivalent course.
Equivalent course.
Right.
And that determination about equivalency is done by whom?
How's it done now?
Took this language right out of the program.
It's not, so it's looked at, if you, what are the courses, forgive me that I'm reading this stuff, but any course not listed in the program of studies may be eligible for approval. Approved, the course will be designated on a transcript by the course name and also either as online independent or enrichment course and will carry pre-approved credit value along with a grade that will not count towards the GPA value. So it's recognized as designated on a transcript, but it's not factored in.
But I don't think there actually is anything in the program of study that says for those courses that are not currently running, but taken either through an online course or at a local college. I think our program of study is silent. I don't think our program of study imagined that scenario. This only addresses those courses that are not listed in the program, in the program of study.
Well, I believe that was discussed in December and January, and Mr. Pajazzo report back to the school committee in the first January meeting, and he said, yes, if the school paid in the program study, and that's counted as a credit at a GPA, and he has an action item to update the program study. He also has another action item which hasn't come back yet, but that's a different story.
Yeah, I can remember that too, I think.
Because this is a fairly narrow exception. It has to be listed in the program of study, but not currently running.
And paid by the school.
What's that? And paid for publicly.
Yeah.
There's only one or two of those classes.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it.
Yeah, this is a very narrow exception. And I think that, again, because we're gonna be reviewing this again in a year's time, I think there's limited risk, and it's probably a good experiment to do it in this very limited way.
So long as you come back and put a sunset on this and revise it at the end of this year to be able to do that. So
Right.
this is now, so you're right, the focus of courses is down, but we have to go back and revisit as well. That's something that is, do we have, so it's X number of courses that didn't run. Do we have 25 students that take advantage of that or 2? What does that look like?
So what language should we insert in this one?
What he's asking for is some suggested language.
How about if, so after the first sentence, it says, blah, 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 shall be treated like classes that are not included in the UGHS program of studies, parentheses. Courses that are included in the UGHS program of studies, but are not offered, may be taken as a dual or concurrent enrollment can count towards credit and GPA.
Makes sense.
Mrs. DiMeglio, did you capture that?
I did.
Would you read it back to us?
Okay, courses that are included in the EG High School program of studies but are not offered may be taken as dual or concurrent enrollment and count towards credit and GPA.
Yep. That work?
Yeah.
So.
Just the last one is regarding section 5C. I see.
Wait, hang on, before we get into
Sure.
different sections.
I'm sorry.
So,
To throw one more wrinkle, I'm not crazy about having policies in multiple policy documents. So if the idea is that we're revising the program, why don't we just reference the program of studies and revise that document properly?
Because the program of study is silent on the instance where there's a course that's listed but is not running
And paid
So,
public.
and paid publicly. That's the problem, is that the program of study is silent on it.
so right, but do we want this language to live in the program of studies or this policy?
Well, I think
And we can amend the program of studies now, also.
So I agree, we could amend the program of studies, we could do that now, we could do that, in November when we come back to it again. I think it's not ever a bad idea to cross-reference policies because sometimes you need the information in two places because if people look at them, they have different contexts for looking at them.
Do they better align?
They don't, no, that's what happens when you have them
Yeah.
in multiple places. I don't mind referencing the program of studies here, but to have language in two different places it will not align at some point.
So one thing that we could choose to do is to make note of that when we have an opportunity to revisit the program and study, ensure that the language is in there, and then we could, when we revise this, when we revisit this in June, we could then change the reference language that's in here to refer back to the program and study. But that this could be a stopgap, because I'm not sure we want to take on amending the program and study in the middle of the program year. Because this is going to be, go ahead.
No, go ahead. In terms of June, you may want to revisit it earlier than that, because by the middle of the second semester, students will have already signed up and engaged in dual enrollment in some shape or form, and they're thinking about what they're doing. I don't want to be in the same situation, or have students in the same situation that they were this year, where they're going to play catch-up. So to try to be more proactive, we could have that conversation, because we'll be able to look at what the numbers were for enrollment. We'll be in the middle of the second semester, college semester, and May. Right.
So we could do this in April,
Right.
for example.
Probably would be, it would be more proactive if we would make some decisions, whatever, based on whatever we decide here.
But I hear what Mr. Fain is saying, and I think we need to put it on a list for when we revisit the program of study
I would
to
agree.
incorporate that language there. I'm glad to see how well aligned this language is with the program of study. We just need to make sure that both documents are aligned moving forward. Do you want to change that to April?
Could you pull that piece from the program of studies and kind of have it in a box in that document?
We could do, the question is, could we pull that piece from the program of study and put it in a box in this policy? What we can do is we can link.
There you go.
We can link it to the program of study.
There is a section in the program of studies that actually says early graduation / dual enrollment that was put in there before any of these conversations took place. My suggestion is just literally just cut and paste.
Yeah, just like that in like a shaded box or something.
Yeah, it's
so you
separate.
say it came from.
Should be teased out separately, so it's referenced directly.
Okay, comfortable with that language? Then
Think so.
Section 5?
Yeah. Section 5C, I know it was not intention, but there was a confusion. What happened to if some students transfer from out of the country to this district, transfer from a different state to this district, they might not be a required state assessment test. I know it was not your intention to exclude it, but
Right.
maybe it's better to make that clear, if the state assessment test was available. Thank you.